Cowherd Colin, an American sports personality, didn't hold back in his post-game analysis toward Team USA, slamming into the coaching choices and squad selection process, sparking uproar among fans and commentators alike.
Injured, and it may open the door for Caitlin Clark to make the Olympic team.
Cowherd started by saying that once you get beyond the top 6 players, selecting Olympic basketball teams for men and women may become political. He listed Isaiah Thomas, Jaylen Brown, and Kyrie Irving as examples of players who did not make the men's squad, implying that qualities other than pure basketball ability are sometimes considered.
This is a layup. In NBA terms, it's a slam dunk. If you can get her on the Olympic team, you missed
Olympic teams, men's and women's. After you get past the top 5 or 6 players, they can be a little political, Cowherd said. He went on to explain that this was more than simply a poor performance on the court. Cowherd's vehement assessment delved deeply into the choices, plans, and leadership that resulted in what he dubbed an Olympic embarrassment.
the Olympic women's team. You guys win gold every year. Your competition's weak. You win it every year. Give us a reason.
Cowherd said that the women's squad should have included both Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, calling them the future of the WNBA. He proposed moving them to the end of the bench, claiming it would increase attention and sponsorship possibilities for women's basketball. They should have included not just Caitlin Clark, but Angel Reese, because I believe those two are the future of the WNBA, she said. My suggestion is to position them at the end of the bench. They'll draw attention. Let these competitors practice together. Magic and Bird developed a friendship. It's just beneficial for the sport. It will draw greater attention to these ladies, which may lead to further sponsorships.
You're doing yourself a favor. Don't get in the way of yourself.
Cowherd attacked the decision to omit Clark, saying Caitlin Clark belongs on the Olympic team. She belongs on the All-Star squad. She belongs in the skills competition. He maintained that women's basketball had no justification for being taken aback by Clark's brilliance, given that she had been breaking collegiate records for years before joining the WNBA. You knew 2 years in advance, oh, we got a star. 1 year from now, she will be the first choice. There was no excuse for ruining her early schedule, Cowherd added. He said that there should have been months and months of discussions before putting Clark on the Olympic squad.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. You know, what Caitlin's been able to do in her short career so far has just been
Cowherd praised Clark's remarkable WNBA exploits, which included leading the league in assists and ranking high in three-pointers made. She's undoubtedly one of the league's top offensive long-range performers. I'd say she's the greatest playmaker in the WNBA, with the most assists, he said.
Stop being precious.
He went on to state that Clark had scored or assisted on 66 points, 71% of the Fever's points. That's the most ever in league history. Cowherd utilized these numbers to back up his claim that Clark was more than ready for Olympic competition. Cowherd accused women's basketball of treating Clark in a petty and insular manner. He said that the sport was harming itself by not fully embracing and marketing its greatest star, comparing it to how the NBA handled the entrance of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird.
For historically low self-esteem, where they want to prove that
they're trying to get her to pay her dues, but she's the one paying all the fees. She claimed she is the reason you are flying privately. She pays for everything and you expect her to pay her dues. It's ridiculous. He drew similarities with other sports, adding, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but Bird and Magic came into the league and they placed them everywhere. They attempted to spotlight them because the NBA was more confident in itself. They saw Bird and Magic's potential to raise all players, the league, revenue, and the pie.
Big mistake the first time, not putting her on the Olympic team. Don't double down on dumb. Get her on the...
Cowherd said that having Clark on the Olympic squad would greatly increase viewership and revenue for women's basketball. He contended that her participation would raise the reputations of all the other players in the club, perhaps leading to more sponsorship agreements overall. I would argue that, like Tiger Woods or Conor McGregor in their peak, she will earn more money for others than herself. Cowherd remarked that rising tides elevate all boats. He anticipated that with Clark on the squad, viewership would double or possibly triple from 7 million viewers to 14 to 18 million with Caitlin Clark, maybe more.
Not only the other women on the team that could get endorsements, but promoting your...
Cowherd also discussed the financial implications for other players, stating the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th best player on the women's Olympic team would make 6 or 7 figures in endorsements.
Anna Taurasi is not one of the 15 best players in the women's game. She's making the team.
Cowherd believes that the decision to keep Clark off the Olympic squad was a serious mistake that the sport should correct quickly. He advised women's basketball not to double down on dumb and to add Clark to the roster to give fans a cause to watch.
About it. The sport made a terrible decision on the Olympic team. The scheduling early, even though they knew she was coming out and probably going to be a #1 pick.
You go ahead and educate us on how you know the game and have covered the Olympics. Good for you. However, part of this is basic business knowledge. This is a layup and you blew it. Cowherd remarked, criticizing those in charge of squad selection. Cowherd likened the scenario to other sports welcoming its superstars, highlighting how Major League Soccer managed to sign Lionel Messi despite wage limit restrictions. It's funny how they got Messi into the MLS. The man earns more than some teams. They found a method to get him into the MLS. They weren't precious or rigid, he said.
No, this is what happens sometimes with soccer fans. They feel ignored, and WA fans feel ignored, so they get very precious.
He described the choice to omit Clark as jumping over a $20 bill to get to a $5, underscoring his belief that it was an obvious error of judgment. Cowherd also addressed the claim that Clark may be a distraction, denying it outright. Your argument, which I don't believe, was that she would be a distraction in women's basketball. I roll my eyes, but it's all right, he remarked. He then pointed out the irony that her absence had become the major subject of conversation, serving as the precise distraction they wished to avoid.
To promote an upcoming Lynx preseason game. At the same time, she voiced her displeasure as she called out the lack of...
The sports commentator's criticism was not limited to the Olympic squad selection. He also criticized the WNBA's handling of Clark's admission into the league. Cowherd noted that the Indiana Fever, despite being the league's poorest club, was assigned the most difficult early schedule. They give her the toughest early schedule in the league over any other team, he remarked, implying that this was done to make life difficult for the rookie star.
They knew a year out she could be the #1 pick. They give her the toughest early schedule in the league over any other team. And remember, the Indiana Fever were the worst.
Cowherd noted connections between the WNBA's handling of Clark and other examples of companies taken off guard by unexpected success. He contrasted it to when Taylor Swift, the singer, became a billionaire with the Eras Tour, and the management team and Ticketmaster had to apologize in about 10 minutes. They couldn't provide enough tickets. They were just completely overwhelmed.
There's a reason that top movie stars and top athletes use the same 4 or 5 agents, because they can handle it.
He said that women's basketball was equally unprepared for Clark's influence, despite having plenty of time to prepare. They knew a year out she could be the #1 pick, Cowherd stated, shocked by the lack of vision. Cowherd also addressed what he saw as a bigger problem in women's basketball, claiming that prior neglect had resulted in an excessively defensive approach. This is what happens sometimes with soccer fans, and they feel ignored, and WA fans feel ignored, so they get very precious, very tribal, very insular.
And you know, the one thing that I really love about her, she loves the game. You can tell she's put the work in, and even, you know, throughout.
He said he opposed this approach, claiming that it was detrimental to the sport's progress. She's not going to make the USA women's basketball Olympic team, and you're like, are you crazy? Cowherd expressed his amazement at the decision.
She's not going to make the USA women's basketball.
Cowherd also commented on the political element of team selection in men's basketball, stating, look at the men's team. It is political. Jaylen Brown is not on it because Nike does not want him on it. Kyrie Irving is not on it because Nike does not want him on it. He cited these cases to demonstrate that team picks often include criteria other than individual performance, but stated that Clark's judgment was especially heinous.
Again, there you go. Every time she talks, she says the right thing. It reminds me a lot of Taylor Swift. You know, like you.
You're not going to put Caitlin Clark, your Taylor Swift, on the team, he said, highlighting Clark's celebrity and possible influence. Cowherd lauded Clark's on-court performance, highlighting her leadership and assists and good three-point shooting. He emphasized the excellent influence she was having on her club, the Indiana Fever, noting Indiana has won 8 of 12. Yesterday was an excellent example, as she was the best player on the court in the 4th quarter.
There yet? But we may get down to somebody in the Olympics. They can get us back with 3 shots, 9 points in 40 seconds. It's not like you're asking to put...
He also praised Clark's off-court behavior, stating, she says the right things at the podium. There's nothing about her you don't like. Cowherd contended that Clark's induction on the Olympic squad would not only increase television ratings, but also improve the whole sport. Caitlin Clark will increase your television ratings and elevate the sport. Get her on the team. Give us a reason to watch the Olympic women's team, he insisted.
Catalyst for a business that was, and let's be honest, whereas Tiger and Conor McGregor elevated their sports, Caitlin to some degree.
He emphasized that the United States women's team's superiority in international competition made Clark's involvement much more vital, not less. You win gold every year. Your competition needs to be stronger. You win it each year. Could you give us a reason? Cowherd suggested that she would double your television ratings by promoting not just the other women on the squad who might earn sponsorships, but also your sport. Cowherd drew another link to other sports, saying there's a reason why top movie stars and top sportsmen have the same 4 or 5 agents. They can manage it. They stay calm. Women's basketball has felt overwhelmed here.
She's a WNBA player. She'll be an all-star, but it won't feel like this. This was your moment. This was the wave. Grab the...
He compared Clark's potential effect to that of past revolutionary athletes from other sports. You got your Conor McGregor, baseball, Bryce Harper. You got your Messi in the MLS, Cowherd remarked, underlining Clark's star power in women's basketball.
They don't get overwhelmed. Women's basketball has felt overwhelmed here. You got your Conor.
Cowherd concluded by framing Caitlin Clark's placement on the Olympic squad as a slam dunk choice that women's basketball had mysteriously missed. In basketball terminology, this is a layup. In NBA terms, it's a slam dunk, he said. If you can get her on the Olympic squad and miss the first time, do it again. You're doing yourself a favor. He challenged women's basketball decision makers not to get in the way of yourself and to grab the chance Clark represented. Don't leap over a $20 note to get to a 5, as the saying goes. You messed up the first time. Please do not make the same mistake again. Get her on the Olympic team, Cowherd continued, emphasizing his opinion that adding Clark was not just the proper move for the squad, but also for the future of women's basketball in general.
With the first pick in the 2024 WNBA draft, the Indiana Fever select Caitlin Clark.
How Caitlin Clark has taken the league by storm, leaving seasoned players like Aja Wilson in awe. This story isn't just about basketball, it's about the change one player can bring to an entire league.
University of Iowa.
The Las Vegas Aces recently made a major choice to move their game against the Indiana Fever to the T-Mobile Arena.
John and Jacqueline, you know it's a massive game when the venue gets upgraded from Michelob Ultra Arena to T-Mobile Arena, and it's still sold out. Fans filing in as we speak with their signs for...
This move boosted the sitting capacity from 12,000 to 18,000. Why? Because of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark and Kate Martin, a big Hawkeye fan base here in attendance. But as for the Aces, they are rolling right now, riding a 4-game win streak, and it's no coincidence.
The rookie star from the Fever has been drawing enormous attention and people wherever she goes.
Our Las Vegas Aces are calling T-Mobile Arena home this evening. The venue is completely sold out. Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever are back in town.
It is a hot ticket, and that's where we find Fox.
Tickets for this game are going like hotcakes. Prices are rising, with the smallest tickets costing $95 and some hitting over $1,000.
And there's been so much talk this season about the young talent coming in this year. From your standpoint, Asia, what do you think's been the best part of this particular WNBA season thus far?
This is a sharp difference to the normal $20 ticket price for Aces games. Remarkably, ticket sales for this regular season game have doubled compared to the WNBA playoffs games held in Las Vegas.
The energy. I feel like the energy is good. It's a good vibe. It's a good feel. People are really just coming to see the product on the floor. I think it kind of a little too gossipy in the beginning.
Caitlin Clark's influence is not just limited to her excellent performance on the court. She's changing the WNBA, drawing more fans, more media attention, and more income.
But then it started to fizzle out because people started to realize we're really good at what we do. We're elite at what we do. So I love the energy now. Like, people are seeing good hoops, and that's what it's all about. We come out here and we work hard and we play basketball at a very high level.
Even Aja Wilson, the star of the Las Vegas Aces, has noted the oddity of such a shift, saying that WNBA teams rarely play in such big venues.
and people are believing in it, and they're trusting in it, and they're investing in it. So I think that's the energy that we're feeling right now.
You know, energy is a great word when you think about Las Vegas. I go there often, Asia, for work, and it's one of my favorite cities because of that energy.
The Caitlin Clark effect is real. It's not just the people who are noticing it, the players are too. They have a level of energy and attention that many have never seen before in the WNBA. And the most surprising part, this is just the beginning of Clark's time in the league.
You've now been there for 6 years. And I got to ask you about something that goes all the way back to October, I believe it was last year. You finally got to see Usher, his residency there in Las Vegas.
Imagine the possibility she holds for the future. This move to bigger stadiums isn't just happening in Las Vegas. Other teams are also moving their games to meet the growing number of fans wanting to see Clark in action. Her appearance is raising the image of the WNBA, bringing in new fans and making people pay attention like never before.
8,000 fans here, and a lot of them here to see you know who, the former Iowa player, now Indiana Fever star Caitlin Clark. Where are you from?
St. George, Utah.
The T-Mobile Arena, with its 18,000 seats, is nearly sold out for the game against the Indiana Fever.
Are you an Indiana Fever fan, an Iowa fan, or
where? I watched it when I was in college in Boston, watched you was in Iowa.
And you're okay, you probably provided the fuel to get her here. Huh?
Yeah.
This shows just how much of an effect Caitlin is making. She needs to play better.
Whoa, you came from Canada to...
Saskatchewan, Canada.
That's a long walk.
We drove 23 hours.
Whoa, hold on a second. 2C, let me guess.
She's drawing record crowds, and it's not just in Las Vegas. Wherever the Fever plays, stadiums are filling up.
As the #1 draft pick for the WNBA this week as she signed on with Indiana, she made history this past year as college basketball's all-time leading scorer.
Clark's impact goes beyond just boosting ticket sales. She's driving up prices significantly.
She's already been selling out arenas this past year, and her team's national championship game drew in more viewers than the men's title game for the first time ever. Dallas Wings president and CEO Greg Bibb knew this, and he says
a normal Aces game might cost around $20 per ticket, but a game starring Clark is driving prices to rise.
Every ticket sales metric that you could imagine was established last year, and we will crush all of those high water marks this summer.
The excitement surrounding Clark's games is unusual in the WNBA's history.
Absolutely, that's amazing. Now, whatever you want to call it, Sunday's game is breaking records for WNBA ticket prices. The first two games between these two clubs were very close, very physical affairs.
Even ESPN has noticed a rise in the number of viewers when Clark plays.
One big focus for the Sky in today's game, fourth quarter ball movement and defensive execution. And there's ample room for improvement on that front.
For example, the Indiana Fever versus Phoenix Mercury game averaged 1.9 million watchers and peaked at 2.7 million. This is a 462% rise from the previous season. Clark is not just a player, she's an icon, a driver for the WNBA's growth.
Coming into the professional, and I just think her style of play resonates with the big basketball fan, the big game fan. Because in sports, as you know, Stephen A., you need household names.
Her ability to draw people and attention is proof of her charm and skill. WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert has praised Clark's part in improving the league.
Use rivalries and games of consequence, and obviously March Madness had all of that, and we're hoping certainly replicate it. Now we have a 40-game season, so not every game you might call a game of consequence, but we're really excited for what.
However, with all this fame comes huge pressure. Clark is not just a college star anymore. She's now at the center of attention in the WNBA.
For Kathy, I know it was two players, but you had Bird and Magic in 1979. Bird goes to Boston, Magic goes to LA. Highest rated college basketball game of all time. NBA was really struggling.
Every game is a test of her skills. The Las Vegas Aces, the current WNBA winners, have experienced and skilled players like Aja Wilson. How Clark tackles this level of competition will be important. Teams are creating special tactics to control her, and Clark will need to adjust.
Up by 3 at the half, she would come back in the second half. And again, Drea, she looked very good.
Yeah, great sign for Caitlin. Again, reading the defense well here with the hesitation and then exploding to the rim. I thought she did a much better job getting in the paint this game also.
Consistency is another problem. The WNBA season is long and grueling. Maintaining her excellent level of play throughout the season will be a major test for Clark.
Caitlin 1 and the Indiana Fever 2 because they are starting to play and know where she is on the floor. That drop-off pass from Erica Wheeler was beautiful.
And then she takes it strong there. She had 17 points.
Moreover, the race for Rookie of the Year adds another layer of pressure. Every game counts, and the battle is fierce.
Inbounding with one last chance, 11 seconds to go. Oh, and Aaliyah Boston just can't quite get it.
Despite these difficulties, Clark's effect on the game is clear.
Day. Let me just say this, the Indiana Fever will be a problem. Maybe not this season, but in seasons to come. Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell.
She's not just a bright newbie, she's a changing force. Professional women's basketball is getting a new boost from her appearance, which is bringing in high numbers and making news.
That dynamic duo, the speed that Kelsey Mitchell has on the floor, those two are a major threat. So I'm excited for what the Indiana Fever have brought to the game. Think about the first time they played the Connecticut Sun.
For sports fans, every game is a chance to see something amazing. Clark always amazes everyone, whether he's breaking a record or making a play that stops everyone in their tracks. The best part? This is just the start of her career. Clark is making new players, and fans want to follow in his footsteps. Fans all over the country are young women who see her rule the WNBA and think that they can do the same. There are limits to what she can do in women's basketball, and she's setting new standards.
She is that dynamic as a player, and Bird and Magic, same thing, say 50 years ago. How about that? Let me hear.
Absolutely. I mean, Bird Magic, I'm a big studier of history, a big rivalry coming out of college.
Clark's effect will only grow as she learns more and more as a professional player. The future of the WNBA looks bright with her in it. Not only do her efforts help her win games, but they also motivate fans and shift how people think about women's basketball. However, the road ahead has its challenges. The racism and prejudice within the WNBA are still widespread. Clark's successes are sometimes overwhelmed by unfair attacks. For instance, in talks about the Rookie of the Year award, some experts still need to name her despite her excellent performance.
Glue of the team, the mother hen as they've called her. Caitlin Clark hits a three-pointer, and Clark makes history once again.
This attitude is sad and shows the problems Clark faces off the court.
No one in the history of the sport has hit more threes in a season than Clark has this year.
Despite this, she stays focused and lets her accomplishments speak for themselves. Her commitment to the game and her team is clear in every match she plays.
I'm sure the only people that view this as a rivalry is all of you. Like, for us, like, it's just a game of basketball. Like, that's what it is, and if it's going to help move the game forward, absolutely. Like, that's amazing.
Clark's ability to handle pressure and criticism with ease is what sets her apart. She's not just playing for herself, she's playing for the fans, for her team, and the future of the WNBA. Her story is one of determination and success. As fans, we should enjoy her successes and continue to support her journey. The WNBA is changing, and players like Caitlin Clark are at the center of this change. Her influence is not just counted in points or assists, but in the motivation she gives to countless others. Even Aja Wilson, a seasoned player and a star in her own right, has voiced her surprise and respect for Clark. Wilson's praise speaks volumes about Clark's amazing ability and the respect she gets from her peers. It's not every day that a rookie garners such high praise from experienced stars.
Talent coming in this year. From your standpoint, Asia, what do you think's been the best part of this particular WNBA season thus far?
Wilson has been quoted saying that Clark's ability to draw such big groups and attention is unlike anything she's seen before. This praise from a top player in the league shows the big impact Clark is making. It's not just about her skills, it's about her power to change the game.
You know, there's no grudges, there's nothing like that. It's a sport, it's competitive. It's not gonna be nice all the time. That's not what basketball is, and I think people that play that at the highest level understand that.
Clark's flexibility on the floor is a key factor in her success. Whether it's her sharp shooting from beyond the line, her smooth passing, or her defensive ability, she brings a full package to the game. This diverse ability makes her a dangerous opponent and a joy to watch. Her work attitude is another feature that sets her apart. Clark's dedication to improving her game is obvious in every drill and every match. She's constantly looking for ways to enhance her performance and add more to her team's success. This devotion is what makes her a great player. Off the court, Clark is also making a difference. She's connecting with friends, joining in neighborhood events, and using her platform to inspire others. Her humility and approachability connect her to fans and make her a role model for young players everywhere.
Here's a falter, looking to drive it again. Needs help this time. Flings it out. Clark, open three, is good.
Her college days, where she made a name for herself with her excellent play, to her professional start, she's been a force to be reckoned with. Her rise to fame is a testament to her ability and drive. As the WNBA season progresses, all eyes will be on Clark to see how she continues to perform. The pressure is great, but if her past achievements are any sign, she's more than capable of rising to the moment. Her ability to stay focused and deliver under pressure will be important. Clark's presence in the league is also helpful for her partners. Playing alongside someone of her caliber improves everyone's level of play. Her teammates are inspired to match her energy and skill, leading to a more competitive and exciting game. Clark's public coverage is also a boon for the WNBA. Increased coverage means more exposure for the league and its stars. This can lead to more partnerships, better television deals, and eventually a stronger league. The greater interest also brings more investigation. Clark continues to make news and break records. It's important to remember the wider effect she's having on the WNBA. She's not just a player, she's a leader, paving the way for future waves of female sports. Her impact goes beyond the court. She's pushing assumptions, breaking down barriers, and showing that women's basketball is just as exciting and tough as men's. This is a major change, and one that will have long-term effects on the sport. For young girls watching her play, Clark is a source of motivation. She's proof that with hard work and commitment, they too can achieve their dreams. This motivation is perhaps her biggest gift to the game and society, so keep an eye on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Every game is a chance to watch history in the making. Subscribe to our feed for more information and stay tuned as we follow her amazing journey in the WNBA. With Caitlin Clark on the court, the WNBA will never be the same. Her story is just starting, and we can't wait to see what she accomplishes next.
A miss. Clark from the logo.
The present circumstances between Caitlin Clark and the WNBA expose a major turning point in women's basketball, not just a sporting story. Historically, the WNBA has battled to earn the same degree of respect and attention as other big leagues. However, the ascent of youthful basketball prodigy Caitlin Clark points to a possible change that may define the league's future.
Clark and the Fever have been the hottest draw in the league. Indiana's games have averaged nearly 16,000 fans, more than double the attendance for games not involving the Fever.
Clark's arrival in the WNBA reminds one of transforming leaders in other sports. Her marketability and skill help her to be the sort of player able to influence public opinion. For a league often eclipsed and underappreciated, this change is essential. Clark has the potential to become a comparable symbol for the WNBA, much as Michael Jordan's arrival into the NBA signaled a fresh period of popularity and financial success.
I think we were just resilient. You know, when they punched us in the mouth, we always found a way to answer. I think people stepped up when their number was called and they were put into the game.
On and off the court, Clark's path is difficult, however. She has already seen major hardships in her short professional career.
Now, I believe to Angel Reese. Yep, across the head, and they will go to the monitor to review this one.
Including harsh fouls from opponents and aggressive moves. These conflicts point to a degree of jealousy and resentment above what is expected of a normal competitive drive. Kennedy Carter and other players have freely shown contempt for Clark, underscoring the personal aspect of these contests.
And, you know, it's just basketball at the end of the day. You know, there's no grudges. There's nothing like that. It's a sport. It's competitive. It's not going to be nice all the time. That's not what basketball is. And I think people that play that at the highest level understand that.
Notwithstanding these challenges, Clark's approach has been admirable. She lets her performance speak for itself rather than starting verbal arguments or grievances.
What about Clark? Another step-back triple, already at double digits in.
Her professionalism and resilience are shown by her capacity to keep concentration and perform well under duress. This mindset not only improves her standing, but also establishes a benchmark for athletes' management of hardship.
Anyone surprised? That's what they come to see. I mean, Jazz Shelley.
Unquestionably, Clark has affected the court. Even in her freshman season, her numbers and accomplishments have distinguished her from many of her contemporaries.
Clark gets freed up. Confidence.
From scoring to assists, she shines in many facets of the game and has a well-rounded skill set that makes her a powerful player.
She's had more 30-plus point games than anybody in the last 25 years in men's and women's basketball.
This all-around skill emphasizes why she is seen as a WNBA game changer. Criticism and jealousy aimed toward Clark are not recent occurrences.
Yeah, I mean, this is a foul for sure on the dribble.
Athletes who push the envelope and challenge the status quo usually exhibit this pattern of polarization. For Clark, this is exacerbated by the extra pressure and expectations put on women in athletics, where their accomplishments are often discounted or questioned.
Pretty fiery, pretty competitive, but I would say like pretty smooth. I just try to...
Additionally, reflecting the larger dynamics in women's basketball is the hatred from certain quarters. Rising stars may eclipse established players and veterans, which would lead to remarks undermining her achievements. This conflict between the old guard and the young underlines the difficulties of generational changes in sports, where the rise of a new star can be both exhilarating and worrisome.
Rebound, 21 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, and Dana Evans.
Clark's impact beyond the courtroom. Her presence has shown her influence on the league's commercial attractiveness by driving a spike in WNBA ticket sales and viewing. The WNBA, which has long aimed to increase its fan base and improve its marketability, depends critically on this surge.
She does it time and time again, the 40-piece, and walks off with the W.
The league's expansion would benefit much from Clark's capacity to attract audiences and create buzz.
If Clark knocks this down, she has officially surpassed Brittany Griner.
The milestones Clark has established so far in her career, including ranking as the all-time top scorer in NCAA history, indicate her extraordinary ability. These successes highlight her ability to reach excellence at the professional level, as well as her leadership skills in steering her squad to national recognition.
We love to see a good clapback, right? And no one does that better than Caitlin Clark. I mean, just a couple of days ago in her game against Louisville, she basically told Haley Van Lith, "You're down 15 points. Shut up."
Her ability to turn this accomplishment into WNBA titles will, however, ultimately be the real test of her legacy. To be among the best, Clark must win at the top level.
Last game when she was like, "You can't see me." That really got everyone fired up.
Comparisons from the past with icons like Michael Jordan show that, however outstanding, collegiate achievement is merely a stop on the road. The mark of an athlete's career and legacy is finally sustained greatness and championship successes.
And Bill Walton, Zeke, Michael Jordan has said it many times. He considers Madison Square Garden to be the mecca of basketball. If
the limits of their sport, this dichotomy is a familiar sensation. Her great importance in the changing story of women's basketball is reflected in the great attention she pays to every action, both good and bad.
In the flagrant, did you feel like that?
The basketball play.
Yeah, do you feel like that was the appropriate call or?
The basketball play, I can't control the refs. They affected the game obviously a lot tonight. So
Clark clearly can change the WNBA, not just in terms of her performance, but also in the general influence she has on the league. She helps the sport reach fresh heights by garnering attention and enticing new players. Her impact is evident in more media attention for the WNBA and more business possibilities.
And this is Caitlin Clark introducing herself. She has been a leader for US team.
Hungary 22, Caitlin Clark.
One must recognize the historical background of Clark's arrival. From its founding, the WNBA has fought for respect and credibility in a sports scene controlled by men's leagues. The acquisition of a great talent like Clark may be the impetus the league needs to enter a new phase of acceptance and prosperity. One does not make light analogies to Michael Jordan. Jordan transformed the worldwide appeal of basketball in addition to his on-court successes, therefore influencing the game.
Being sick. Yeah, I think he's okay. He's got the bounce, he's got the skill, he's ready to put on the show here today.
With her special mix of talent and charm, Clark can offer women's basketball a like-minded change.
Without them being able to contest. Dennis don't be posting up, but you know who they go to. 22 from the outside.
Still, the path to such a transforming accomplishment is complex. Expectations weigh heavily, and close inspection defines Clark's path. Every game, every performance is examined, which increases the strain she has to negotiate. Her long-term effect on the league will rely much on her capacity to flourish under such conditions.
She's got 36.
She lives for those moments, Gus. She wants to take the big shot, and she will make the big shot.
The encouragement Clark gets from her supporters is evidence of her rising impact. Driven mostly by Clark's presence, there is a growing interest in WNBA games in attendance and viewing. The survival and expansion of the league depend on this fan involvement.
Happy I got to see her today. Yeah. It was like a dream come true.
Clark's collegiate basketball success sets a great standard for her professional career. Her leadership at Iowa and record-breaking efforts have shown her capacity to rule at the toughest levels of competition.
I think the main things about Iowa that I liked is one, doing something special that's never been done before. I think that was super important to me, and two, I'm really close with my family, so I wanted to be close. I wanted to have.
Her road will next take her translating her achievement to the WNBA. The criticism and questioning Clark encounters reflect her reputation as a pioneer. Athletes who question accepted wisdom and push limits in managing this strain.
But I mean, I don't know.
She's so humble, isn't she?
Well, I don't know what to say.
Let me tell
Like, I mean, it's great.
That's
I don't know.
pretty cool, Caitlin.
Career will most certainly help to define the WNBA. Her achievements and the awareness she raises for the league will help the next generations of athletes get access. Clark is redefining women's basketball's possibilities by shattering stereotypes and establishing new benchmarks.
Shout out to the fans, though. They were unreal. They got us there for the fourth. Happy for our group. That's a big one. Gotta be second.
One cannot overestimate the business success connected to Clark's league membership. A stronger and more financially stable WNBA results from increased ticket sales, better viewing ratings, and more media coverage. In this sense, Clark's marketability is very vital.
It was pretty surreal because we were watching TV, I think the game before, and she got really close to it. I think she was like a couple of rebounds away, and I didn't think that I would actually be at the first one. But here we are.
Furthermore, Clark's influence is felt in the larger cultural setting. She breaks preconceptions and encourages young girls to follow their sporting aspirations as very prominent and accomplished female athletes. Her impact shapes ideas and goals even outside of the basketball floor.
I'm 22 years old. I got a lot of pressure on myself to perform and help this organization and help women's basketball and women's sports, so I think she's been a great outlet for myself.
The rivalry Clark encounters is evidence of her competitive nature and the respect her peers demand of her. These fierce games provide the league drama and thrills, attracting viewers and crafting gripping narratives.
I think the people that have made it the most special, obviously my teammates, my coaches, but it isn't what it is without all of you, so seriously I mean that, and I thank you. And
one of Clark's strongest suits is her fortitude in the face of difficulty. Her performance mostly depends on her capacity to recover from demanding moves and stay focused on the game. She will find great benefit from this mental fortitude as she negotiates the demands of professional athletics. Clark's presence greatly supports the WNBA's pursuit of more respect and exposure. Her capacity to attract attention and create buzz about the league is really priceless. The league's expansion and acceptance depend on this higher awareness.
So I don't know if you guys realize what you're doing for women's basketball and women's sports in general, but you're changing it, you're helping us change it, so seriously, from the bottom of my heart, from all of us, we thank you so much.
Clark's path reflects the larger hardships and victories of female athletes. Her narrative emphasizes the difficulties women have in the sports scene trying to be recognized and respected. Overcoming these challenges, Clark motivates and sets an example for others.
Off of your defense, get out and run. There's so much opportunity in transition. Caitlin Clark needs no space. Cashes in. Come on, 22.
How the media presents Clark as a two-edged blade. More publicity exposes her more, but it also makes her a more visible target of attention. Negotiating this terrain calls for a careful mix of resilience and openness. A key component of Clark's success is her capacity to motivate her colleagues and set an example. Her team's performance and winning culture are much enhanced by her leadership both on and off the court. The difficulties Clark's rivals provide are evidence of her ability and fierce competitiveness. These rivalries inspire her to keep developing and modifying her game, therefore reaching new performance standards.
I want to personally thank Caitlin Clark for lifting up our sport.
A key determinant of Clark's career path is her capacity to manage the demands of success and celebrity. Maintaining her attention and desire depends on her being grounded in controlling expectations. Her path depends much on the encouragement Clark gets from her family, friends, and supporters. Her ongoing success is built on this network of support, which also helps her negotiate professional ups and downs.
Controversial foul in the WNBA game
between Indiana and Chicago continues. You've seen it now a million times. Third quarter, Kennedy Carter shoulder checking Caitlin Clark
From her on-court performance to her marketability to her motivation, Clark has had a diverse influence on the WNBA. Her path captures the larger chances and difficulties women's basketball faces. Ultimately, amid a background of difficulties and opposition, Caitlin Clark's narrative is one of hope and possibility. Her path highlights the importance of ongoing support and respect for female players as it mirrors the larger challenges and successes of women's basketball. Clark represents the transforming potential of skill and will in shining the sports scene as she negotiates the demands and expectations of her developing career. For women's sports generally, as well as the WNBA, Clark's ascent offers optimism. A key first step in the continuous struggle for equality and acceptance in the sports world is her capacity to raise awareness and respect for the league.
It's just amazing. I mean, how she finds people in transition, she's just unbelievable.
Clark opens the path for the next generations of female athletes as she keeps shattering records and raising expectations. Her accomplishment reminds us of the need for tenacity, loyalty, and fortitude in reaching excellence. The story of Clark's ascent is complex and covers her extraordinary abilities, hardships, and influence on WNBA popularity. This intricate interaction of elements makes her narrative interesting and important, not just for women's basketball enthusiasts, but also for the sports scene overall. With Clark's rise as a possible superstar, the WNBA marks a new chapter marked by more respect, exposure, and admiration of the league and its players. Her path is evidence of her ability, skill, and will to overcome challenges and reach brilliance. Women's basketball has benefited greatly and broadly from Caitlin Clark. Her path reminds us of the possibility sports have to inspire, challenge, and change. On and off the court, resilience, quality, and inspiration for the next generations will define Clark's legacy as she keeps leaving her imprint.